Let's have a seat.
Then he disappeared.
Colin, sit down.
What did he
Colin.
do by that?
Sit down.
Next morning, the boy came into the room and saw the tin soldier lying next to the jack. He picked him up and placed him on the windowsill. It's hard to say exactly what happened next. Maybe it was the wind. But suddenly, the curtain grabbed at the tin soldier, knocking him off balance.
Colin, get ready for next, okay? That's my...
It is hard to say exactly. Then all at once, the tin soldier felt himself falling. Down, down, down he fell, 3 full stories, all the way to the street, where his bayonet stuck in the earth between the cobblestones. For what seemed like a very long time, the little tin soldier lay there, hoping he would be found.
Colin, tell us what happens next.
Lay
Thank
there,
you, Elizabeth.
hoping he would be found. The tin soldier was left alone. He watched the sun cross the sky and disappear behind the house. Night came, and then the rain, one drop, then another,
You can
until it
actually
was
activate it
pouring.
from there. Yeah, just turn up the volume when you...
By morning, the rain had stopped, and the sun shone down on the little tin soldier, still wedged between the cobblestones.
Oh, look, he's
2
stuck.
boys on their way to school walked by. Look, a tin soldier! He probably isn't much of a soldier. He's only got 1 leg. The tin soldier knew he was as good a soldier as any. He wanted to answer the boys, but he said nothing because he didn't want to boast.
Very nice reading, Karen. I had trouble with that page, actually, after listening to the recording. I don't like the way they read it. Anyway, very nice.
I bet he'd make a good sailor, said the first boy, folding a little boat out of one of his school papers.
Get the boat. I wish I knew how to make
Put
a
the
boat.
tin soldier aboard and set him to sail in the gutter. Away went the boat, spinning and bouncing in the rushing stream of rainwater. The 2 boys ran along on the sidewalk, laughing and shouting.
Get ready, Jill. 1 more page, okay?
As the boat dipped and turned in the waves, the tin soldier trembled inside himself with fear. But he stood steadfast as ever. As the boat dipped and turned in the waves, the tin soldier trembled inside himself with fear. But he stood steadfast as ever, looking straight ahead. Could this be what the troll meant? The boat was approaching the drain that led to the sewer.
Very nice, Colin. Thank you. Dylan, you going to follow me or am I going to follow you?
He follows you.
Dill. Volume up.
The 2 boys saw what was going to happen and tried to grab
Isn't
hold of
that
it.
cool?
They were too late. The paper boat and the tin soldier fell through the drain into the darkness. It was cold in the sewer, and the sound of rushing water was very loud and frightening. The tin soldier wished he were back with his brothers in the wooden box, and he thought of the ballerina.
My turn. Your turn.
If only I could see her again, I wouldn't be so afraid. If only she were here, I wouldn't care if it were twice as dark or cold.
Thank you, scared. Yes.
Suddenly, a fat gray water rat appeared beside the boat and shouted at the soldier, "Have you got a passport? Show me your passport!"
Right.
The tin soldier didn't answer, but he gripped his rifle a little more firmly. The current grew stronger and the boat gathered speed. The rat swam after him, gnashing his teeth in anger. "Stop him! Stop him!" the rat shouted. The current ran faster and faster, carrying the boat away from the rat toward the end of the tunnel. The tin soldier could see light ahead. Perhaps I will be saved. But at that moment he heard a strange roaring sound which seemed to come closer and closer to his little boat. There was no hope of stopping that little paper boat. It pitched and swirled and filled with water. The poor tin soldier stood steady as ever, never flinching. He knew he was doomed. He thought of his brothers again and of the ballerina.
Oh, I'm feeling sad.
The paper boat gave way, and the water swirled over the tin soldier's head. He sank toward the bottom and surely would have drowned.
Kiki, if you would like to join us, Miss Sonia, when you get on board, just raise your hand and we'll let her have a read.
Had not a hungry fish swooped down and swallowed him up, just like that.
That big fish.
Inside the fish, it was even darker than it had been in the sewer. There was barely room enough for the little soldier, but he lay there without letting go of his rifle, steadfast as ever.
And he's so brave. All right, Kiki, let's pick it up here, sweetheart.
Let's turn the page.
Up and down, back and forth.
Oh, let's start that over again.
Go for
All
it.
of a sudden, the tin soldier felt the fish dart wildly about. Up and down, back and forth. What is happening, wondered the little soldier. Then it was very still. A short while later, a ray of light came flooding down onto him, and he heard someone exclaim, "Why, here is our little tin soldier." Then he picked the soldier up out of his fish and took him to the sink where she washed him clean and bright as new. Then she carried him into the playroom so that everyone could admire the little traveler who had journeyed inside the belly of a fish. How strange and wonderful the world is. Here he was, back in the very same room that he had left but a few days ago. He was set on the table amongst the toys he knew. There stood his brothers in the cardboard castle.
All right, one more, Kiki. And we're going to do 1-1-1, guys.
Most wonderful.
Challenge you a little bit.
Ballerina. As beautiful and steadfast as ever.
Colin, you're next. Or Lucas, you're next. We'll go Lucas, Colin, and Jill.
Held by the spangle, as bright as a diamond.
Lucas.
The soldier could now see that the ballerina did, in fact, have two legs. That one was extended behind her, nearly hidden by the folds of her skirt. But she was even lovelier than he remembered.
Colin.
You can now see that the hard to say which one. The little soldier was so happy that he almost shed a tear. But of course, the little soldier was so happy that he almost shed a tear. But of course that was not proper for a soldier. He looked at her and she at him. He wanted to tell her about his adventures and of his love for her, which had helped him to be brave when he was afraid. But never a word passed between them.
Dylan.
You were there when I recorded this. You were sitting there.
Then one of the children, it's hard to say which one because it all happened so quickly, grabbed the tin soldier.
Kiki. Go. Kiki.
Oh,
Miss Sonia?
sorry.
Opened the door to the wood stove and tossed him into the fire. Who knows why? No doubt patrol had a part in it. The tin soldier stood
Lucas, get ready.
steadfast while the flames leapt and danced around.
He felt a great heat, but wasn't sure if it was from the flames or from the love that burned inside him. The soldier gripped his rifle and kept his eyes fixed on the ballerina as she stood in front of the castle.